Hello everyone, welcome to Brain DC. I'm Dr. Michael Hall. Today's discussion, if you will, we're going to be on a term called subluxation. This term is widely used in chiropractic and has great relevance to the chiropractic profession and what a chiropractor does. The chiropractor will oftentimes analyze the health and well-being of your spine in order to remove subluxation to improve the health of the patient. So let's break this down a little bit, what this actually means. So for our discussion, subluxation simply represents nerve interference. Nerve interference, less than optimal function in the health and well-being of your nervous system. Now, what does that mean to you on a daily basis? Well, let's look at it. If my blood pressure is higher than normal, that's interference in your nervous system. If my heart rate is higher than it should be, that represents interference in your nervous system. If a muscle is sore, weak, tight, a joint is dysfunctioning, that represents a less than optimal function of your nervous system, i.e. interference. Now the chiropractor will oftentimes look at your spine, which, not the best illustrator, but for purposes of our discussion, this is your spine: skull, cervical spine, thoracic, lumbar spine, and your tailbone. This represents your brain. This is your frontal lobe, and we'll leave the rest of it for now. This is our primary function. So what we're going to do is that in the middle of all this is what's called the vertebra, which the vertebra make up the spine. And so in the vertebra are articulations as well as muscles that move the vertebra to both keep your posture as well as allow you to have segmental mobility. So between joints and muscles, we get a lot of input to your nervous system. Now this input is primarily through the cerebellum and also through your thalamus on the way to your cortex. And in this discussion, your cortex represents this area right here. Now we do have what's known as the parietal lobe, which also receives this information, and then the parietal lobe is responsible for driving the frontal lobe. So let's put some perspective to this. Your spine is made up of vertebrae. The vertebrae have joints, articulations, and muscles that control your posture and your mobility. The input from those receptors drive the central nervous system, primarily the cerebellum and thalamus, to eventually drive your cortex so that you have control over your posture as well as your voluntary activities on a day-to-day being, if you will. Now, I sometimes will say or liken this, that the health of your spine is to the health of your nervous system, your brain, as, let's say, signal is to your cell phone. If you have less than optimal signal to your cell phone, you might drop a call, you might not hear the other person very well, or you may not have service at all. So if you have subluxation of the spine, you have interference in your nervous system. That means that your brain simply can't be at its optimal function. What does this mean clinically? This means you may have change in tone of muscle. So maybe you have pain in your leg, pain down the back of your leg, pain in your back or your neck, a change in tone, rotator cuff syndrome, carpal tunnel, a variety of musculoskeletal aches and pains as a result of change in function of your nervous system. You might have a change in your autonomics. What is that? High blood pressure, low blood pressure, fainting spells, dysautonomia, elevated heart rate, change in pupillary size, light sensitivity, taste and smell aberrancies. These can also represent dysfunction in the health and well-being of your nerve system, if you will, or your brain. You can also have changes in behavior. We all know that if you have neck or back pain, that you just don't feel very well. You don't want to go outside, you don't want to be the life of the party. It's hard to move around. Children sometimes who have alteration of tone may demonstrate behavioral problems or disruptions. These are all very important to you as parents, as practitioners, both. So here's the gist. Subluxation represents what to the chiropractor as well as to the patient? It represents interference in your nervous system. You're simply not at optimal health or well-being. A good analogy, spinal health is to your brain as signal is to your cell phone. We all get that. How might subluxation manifest in our day-to-day life? Change in tone, muscle, tight muscles, weak muscles, autonomics, pupils, taste, smell, heart rate, respirations, blood pressure, behavior, depression, outlandish behavior, if you will, disruptive behavior, behavioral incoordination can all be a part of disruption of optimal well-being of your nervous system, i.e. your brain, which means that your spine could play a role in that. Inactivity, prolonged sitting can all lead to alterations of spinal health, which can lead to an alteration in brain health. So why do you, the patient, need to see the chiropractor? To have your spine checked to remove this link if it's at all there. So chiropractors, healthcare providers, students of health sciences, and patients alike, subluxation is a term that we need to embrace and resolve. I'm Dr. Michael Hall for BrainDC.net. Thank you very much. Till next time,